Thank you very much. My name is Cyprian Nyamwamu, and I am the Executive Director of the Future of Kenya Foundation. And today we were meeting to reflect on the analysis around the Finance Bill 2024. And I want to say that the main recommendations for improving on the Finance Bill 2024 is number one, that we need to remove all the clauses in the bill which go towards increasing the cost of living for Kenyans. Number two, all the clauses that go towards making the lives of young creative workers, young entrepreneurs, young innovators, especially those who use the internet, those who use digital platforms to create content, that must go. We cannot be a country where we are targeting and looking for where young people are, where border people are, and making their life much harder. The second thing that we are saying, which is combined with the budget, is that the budget for 2024-2025 needs to be cut from the 3.7 trillion. It needs to come down to at least 3.2 trillion, because if we keep enlarging expenditure, it is going to cause a bigger budget deficit. And with a bigger budget deficit, we are going to be forced to borrow more. And with more borrowing, we are actually going to raise taxes, which has been the problem in the country so far. The third and last recommendation that we need to make is that we are at a place where we have to audit the odious debt. The country is in a crisis of odious debt. There is a lot of borrowing that is happening which is outside the Constitution and which is not following the law. The Constitution is very clear that you do not borrow if it is not for development, and you do not borrow if it is not for projects. But we can see that we have entered a situation where we are even borrowing to refinance debt payment, and we are borrowing to actually meet recurrent expenditure. And this is a major crisis which needs to be dealt with. The other thing that we need to really speak about now at this stage is about how this finance bill and the budget is taking away from the people who most need government services and government social security, and taking it to expenditure that is unnecessary and that we can be able to do away with. I'll give two examples. We are looking at a budget which is taking from school feeding program, which is taking away from university funding, which is taking away from essential needs, including social security. And it is taking this money, for example, to State House for innovations, the Deputy President's house. And we are seeing the repeat of what we saw last year with the new curtains and refurbishments, which are costing billions. And we are taking this money from the people who need it and giving it to the people who do not need this kind of budget allocation. So the estimates are actually patently unconstitutional. And because of that unconstitutionality, I think we've come to a place where the voice has to be very clear, and that's why the religious leaders were meeting today, to make the message very clear that we have come to a place where the budget has to be relooked. Why? Because the country does not have a revenue problem. The country has an expenditure problem. We are putting money to expenditure that is unnecessary, to politicians, CDF, and we are seeing governors' offices that are spending up to $1 billion to 600 million without producing any development on the ground. So we must be radical in terms of how we budget. We must do program-based budgeting, and we must cut out everything that we do not need at this stage. The final thing that I think we need to say has to do with the wastage, lavish living, and lavish expenditure. which is actually at the center of our current problem. So we need to really ask these three questions to the President and the members of Parliament. Does Parliament need 41 billion shillings? What does Parliament produce with 41 billion? This lavish spending, lavish travels, large allowances by members of Parliament, by parliamentary committees, by parliamentary expenditure, which is at 41 billion, is unacceptable. We also have to be very clear that we have come to a place where we have to ask the President this question. Does the President need more money to State House? And what is that money for? We've seen that State House alone, the Executive Office of the President, the allocation has increased by 33%. This is where the real problem is. Is the President saying that he does not feel the pain that Kenyans are feeling? Why is he increasing expenditure on non-essentials and taking away from the social health fund? People cannot be able to access medical care, and we are deepening the taxes. We need to really take a radical step and stop this. And finally, I think the question is to Kenyans. Do Kenyans know that through the finance bill and this reckless budget, that our economy has been destroyed and we no longer can be able to support manufacturing? The increase in taxes and the increase in the cost of doing business like electricity and so on and so forth has crippled business. There's no employment for young people. Why are Kenyans allowing their members of Parliament to do this to our country and our economy? Why can't Kenyans ask their members of Parliament to do what they were sent to Parliament to do, which is to represent us? So those are the three questions that are crucial at this point in time. Thank you very much.